What's up, YouTube? Got a couple of tributes. One is I never got to use my Danelectrode 68 bottle opener. Received it quite a while ago. Cheers. Works good. Thanks, Neil. Don't want to put that on sandpaper. That'd suck. Let me see. And the second thing is, got a guy that's missing in action. I sent him a PM, but haven't seen a video from him in a while, and just wondered what's up with him. That's Big Spoon 1. He's over in Indiana. He builds small, like lawn tractor type pulling tractors. And it'll be another video, but I ran a pulling truck for a while. I didn't drive. I was a crew chief, I guess. The gopher boy stuff. The horsetails video I'm going to do today. So I still haven't gotten my Blue Roads Sunday morning stories yet. It was August 22nd, 1998. My church was remodeling an office building into a church, and needed quite a bit of work to do. So my wife and I volunteered, and at the time I was licensed fire alarm technician installer. So I needed some fire alarms unhooked. So we went to the church, and I had a 3/4 ton Dodge Ram at the time also. And they used my truck to haul the door frames from the walls and stuff we were taking out. The people that owned the property, wanted to keep all that stuff, of course. It was kind of a lease, build-to-suit type deal. So we went there, that morning, moved stuff all day. I disconnected some fire alarm, moved some things around so they could take some walls down, took some door frames out, hauled about 10 loads of stuff around back with my truck. I just let other people drive my truck while I was working on the fire alarm stuff. It was a pretty good time. And that night I had a party to go to. A friend of mine lives about 12 miles up the road here. Was having his yearly party, and it was kind of last party of the year. We used to have quite a few parties. Red Fest was a buddy of mine's buddy would come up from Florida, spend a few weeks with him around his birthday, and we'd have Red Fest. But this was Joe Fest, I guess. My wife and I had just got married 4 months earlier, and the black Moto Guzzi that you guys have seen me fixing up was disabled. She blew a hole in the piston, and my orange bike was just wasn't running right. Still hasn't recovered from whatever was wrong with it. I still don't know, but I believe it's a cracked cylinder head. So we had the little purple hardtail, which it's always run good as long as the electronic ignition I put on it didn't foul out on me. But so we decided to take that to the party. I had taken some stuff out the night before, sleeping bag, tent, a couple bottles of wine. Excuse me. We were headed out, and One of the places we drove by was our old house. That day we lived in Kettering, which is, I don't know, about 12-13 miles that way to the southeast. But yeah, we made our way back roads, and we'd actually came by here where we live now also. And it was a beautiful day. It was a little warm, but it was a beautiful day. And at the time I didn't really wear a helmet unless it was absolutely cold, or I needed to for whatever state I was in at the time. I had on blue jeans, you know, tank top, muscle shirt type, whatever you want to call it. And my wife pretty much had about the same thing on, you know, boots and blue jeans and sleeveless shirt. And we got to right down the road, about 7 or 8 miles from where we live now. There's a little dip in the road, probably 15, 20 feet deep, and a little ravine type deal. And I was all the way on the right side of the road, and next thing you know, the car come up out of the ravine on my side of the road and hit us pretty much head on. He missed the front forks. Well, he actually hit the front forks of the fender of the car, but it hit the engine pipe, exhaust pipe on the left side, and my knee on the left side, and my arm. I don't know if you guys can see it too well, but it hit the windshield post. And of course it also hit my wife's leg. She was on the back of the bike, and I pretty much stayed conscious the whole time. Fortunately, she has no memory whatsoever of the accident, but I went off into, I don't want to say a ditch. It was, you know, a couple, maybe a foot deep or so, ravine in somebody's front yard, pretty much about like we have out here in front of our house. Just a runoff, and hit their, just missed the culvert pipe and ran up in their driveway. And I guess when I ran off the road and hit the ditch, let's call it, my wife flew off the back and landed on her head and her arm, kind of like trying to, it was her left arm, trying to save, you know, trying to catch herself, and shattered her left arm. And I was still conscious at the time, sitting on my motorcycle with a femur fractured in 4 places. And I looked back at her and seen that, you know, she was off the bike and laying on the ground and wasn't moving. And I went to step off the bike. I guess that's when I realized that my leg was broke, and passed out in the driveway. Woke up like, you know, 3 seconds later. Had a guy across the road that seen what happened. He come running over, and I gave him my buddy's phone number, and he come down. Even though he really wasn't in a state to be driving, he come down. It was a few miles from his house, and a bunch of people from the party came. Bobby, a friend, a guy I went to school with, which is also my buddy's brother-in-law, and little Bob, who's a, you know, guy I know from riding motorcycles. He come down, and the ambulance was there rather quickly, from what I remember. And they'd put us both in the back of the ambulance, and I was wondering why we weren't going anywhere. And then all of a sudden I heard a helicopter That's when I realized how critical it was. We were care flighted to a hospital where at that point I'd lost quite a bit of blood, and so did my wife. I coded on them once, and I think my wife coded on them like 3 times. Her injuries at the time were quite more severe than mine, but yeah, we both of us still get quite a bit of pain from it. She had basically shattered her whole left ankle. Next thing I know, I woke up and I don't want to say it was an exam room, but it was somewhere. It was dark, and there was an x-ray board up, and I looked at all these x-rays and I was like, holy crap, is that my leg? And they turned, but the doctors, technicians, whatever they were, I don't know, turned around, looked at me, and were like, you're supposed to be out. Next thing I know, I was. We were in the I was in the hospital about 3.5, 4 weeks doing a recovery. Took about 3 months before I was able to go back to work, and then I was back to work on a limited basis. So I still had to take my wife to physical therapy, and she was in the hospital for about 4 weeks. And she'd gotten out. We had stayed. My mother-in-law had her or dining room table out for refinishing at the time, and it was just taking an extreme amount of time to do it. So when she found out that we were coming out of the hospital, they wanted to put us in a nursing home just to recover. And she said, no, they're going to stay in my dining room. So we had 2 hospital beds in a dining room. It was where my wife and I, which were honeymooners at the time, stayed. And we had recovered pretty well about Thanksgiving. I think it was a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. Like I said, I had been back to work, so we just loaded up everything for my wife and over to our house at the time, which was a couple miles away from my mother-in-law's. And I left her at home all day and went to work, and just kind of forced her to go into a little bit of recovery, trying to take care of herself, going to the restroom and all that. And so that was the story of how I almost ended it. And the guy that hit us, the only thing he received was a reckless operation, because he had claimed that it was just an incident, I guess. I remember the highway patrolman that was at the scene came to the hospital to take a report from me, and he told me that he was going to do everything he could possibly do to fry that kid, which, if you go by the law, you gotta go by the law. But everybody was, all my friends and stuff were at the party, and they were pretty concerned. And I remember that the night, my friend had called, my buddy was having a party, called the hospital, wanting to know how I was. And I remember waking up 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. The accident happened about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they said, hey, we'll just let you talk to him. He had told him that he was my brother, which I was, at the time, I was expecting to talk to my little brother when they said your brother's on the phone. So I picked up the phone. He told me who it was, and I was like, holy crap. So I guess after he got off the phone, he went and told everybody, and the party just went crazy, and everybody, had pretty decent time after that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, my parents lived in Hillsboro, which is about 70 miles away. They had made it to the hospital before dark. And they were pretty worried, of course. And they had a priest that came and said, "We need to talk to you," which, my mom immediately lost it because she thought I was dead. And come to find out, he was just wanting them to know, the options available for, talking to someone or some sort of counseling. And my in-laws, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law at the time, were in Alaska on a cruise ship when my brother-in-law had to call them and tell them what happened. They immediately came home the next day. They just basically left everything on the cruise ship and had it UPS'd back to them. Yeah, it was quite an ordeal. We made it. We survived. We've done pretty well. I still go to work every day, and she's a great mother and a really good person, which I guess that's what people get out of life. What you experience is what makes you who you are. Anyways, I appreciate your guys' time, and maybe we'll do another Horse Tales next Sunday. We'll try to keep it regular, but no guarantees because sometimes I don't feel real well. Thanks for watching.